Welcome to Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling, the ESPN for all things comedy, with your hosts, Mark Riccadonna and Richie Byrne. And now, grab a drink and welcome Mark Riccadonna and Richie Byrne. Welcome to Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling. I'm your host, Mark Riccadonna. With me, as always,
Richie Byrne. What's up?
Hey.
How are you?
It's good to see you, Richie.
I like the tree behind you. It's very festive.
I know. I this is our little back room, and we put our tree back here, and I'm like, oh, I'm not putting up the green screen thing. This makes me so happy.
I have nothing any different. I do have lights on in the house. I just don't have any right here. So.
Yeah. Are you big Christmas guy?
Yeah.
Christmas, Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I was bigger when I was younger. I don't have kids. If I had kids, I'm sure for you right now it's crazy.
Oh, it's nuts. We got the Elf on the Shelf every morning. We got all that crap.
Do you watch the shows? Are they big? The Rudolph and all that crap, or still those shows.
Yeah, all the claymations and all that stuff. It's so big. The kids love it. But this is the first year they got into like Home Alone and like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and all the
really?
Yeah. So now I'm in like this is the sweet spot for me.
Yeah. It's movie shit. Yeah.
Well, we got a special show. I'm so excited. Let's bring him out, and then we'll talk about it. We'll do the drink, the joke, and then we'll talk how we all got to meet up. I thought it was such a fun story and how everything came about. But
I met them because you never introduce people.
I don't. My wife and I, we have a code that she'll say to me. She'll be like, "Oh, Mark, you're so rude. I'm Angie," and then she introduces herself to everybody because I never introduce people. I just, for some reason in my head, think everybody knows each other.
We were just backstage with them, and you never introduced me. You were like, "All right, here we go." I'm like, "Okay, I guess we're going."
All right, well, let's bring them out from the Raylen Nelson Band, Raylen and JB. Let's bring them out.
Hey guys!
Hey guys!
How are you?
Are you going to introduce us now?
Well, now I'll introduce you. This is Richie.
So
that is Raylen Nelson and JB. I can't remember your last name because we never. They just said JB when I met you.
It's B-E-E. No, I'm kidding. It's Bright. B-R-I-G-H-T.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a fake name, so we go with JB.
I like it. I like JB.
His name is Jonathan Bright, and Jonathan is just the longest name in the world to say for such a little guy.
It means a gift from God, so back off. Anyway.
Well, also, I mean, Jonathan's a weird name for, like a rock guitar player. Like,
I think Jonathan Bright's a cool name.
Yeah.
It is. Together, it sounds really strong. Yeah. When you think of Jonathan, I think of like a little kid. Like, hey, I'm Jonathan.
Yeah, you might go with Johnny Bright or something like that if you were going to go with the full name.
Johnny?
Yeah.
I don't know. When I think of Jonathan, Bright. I just think of Bible times and David's best friend.
As you should.
Well, we're so happy you guys. Where are you joining us from?
We're at my grandpa's museum in Nashville, right across from Opryland. So it's the Willie Nelson and Friends Museum and Showcase is what it's called.
That is awesome. And then you guys run a podcast through there. You guys have a really awesome podcast called Music is Funny.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, go ahead.
Over the pandemic, we didn't have anything to do. And before that, when we were traveling around, when we would go on the road, we wouldn't listen to the same music, Yeah,
we do not agree on music in the van to listen to at all.
It's hysterical. You're in the same band, but you don't. listen to the sad
There's
music.
a sharp divide in the van.
Yeah, the only time, I mean, we'll listen to cover songs that we're going to do over and over and over again or something like that. But no, we usually just listen to stand-up comedy. So then the pandemic hit and we were like, how do we get these comedians to talk to us? So
We were like,
all you
they're
have to
not-
do is ask, because
Yeah.
comics can't wait to talk.
Strangely enough, that turned out to be the case. I mean, our first guy we reached out to was freaking Doug Stanhope, and he got back. He's like, sure. So I was like, hey, we're off and running with Stanhope, and he was hilarious.
freaking.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if it was by anybody was in the museum. Can we curse on this podcast?
I think you
Of
can.
course.
You can
Yeah.
curse. You can.
Richie, you got to come. Richie, you're a comedian, right?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, we got to have you on. We got to have you on
Yeah.
our show.
absolutely. I would love to do it. I would love to do it. You see how hard that was? You see what I mean? See how
how to get a comedian. If you want to talk to him, just ask. If you want him to perform, just feed him.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
about
Comic though, you said, "Oh, Richie, you should be on our show." I should be like, "No, no,
I'm tired of talking about myself. Nah.
It's also hard to say no when I ask you on your own show if you'll come on, because you would just look like an asshole
That's
if
a
you
good
said
point.
no.
Well played, too. Well played.
Thanks.
I mean,
Well, you know, Richie has no problem looking like an asshole.
You'd be perfect on our show.
Ray, here's the deal. I'll do it, but I have to be at my grandfather's museum when I do it.
Does your grandpa have a museum?
No.
She asked so innocently. I loved it.
Like every kid's grandpa has a museum.
Yeah, and a tour bus,
No,
right? Your
it's called
grandpa's got a tour
It's
bus?
called their garage. That's Grandpa's museums. Their garage.
The cubby hole where my grandpa kept all of his old Playboys.
Right.
So,
Right out of the museum. I'm sorry, Mark. You guys, you do your show out of the museum all the time, or
Yeah, just for the cool factor, because my grandpa's cool.
well, Mark,
This
I
is our
would.
bus.
We should go out there and do the show live from there.
They're always better
100%.
live.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down. I love Nashville so much, and we'll get into that because I'll tell the story of how we all met.
Okay.
But I want to first start with, what are we drinking? What is you guys' preferred drink when you're out on the road, and are you drinking it now?
Yeah, this is my favorite beer right now. It's Founders All Day IPA Session Ale. So it's got 4% alcohol in it, you know? So you can drink like 10 of them. And also there's a little car on here, so you can actually drink and drive if you drink.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
It's really one of the
legal,
only beers that allows that, but it is on the
Yeah,
can.
it's on the
so-
can. It's a little car, and he's even got a canoe up there, so he's been, you know,
Yeah,
you
you-
can go do activities.
Paddle, drive, whatever you want to do on this stuff.
Yeah, so drink and drive.
I've got the same. Yes, I have the same.
You
Cheers.
going, Fathers? Richie, what are you drinking, buddy?
I'm still sticking with the coffee with Kahlua in it, bro.
Yeah.
Old school.
We had
Fun-
a
fun.
thing earlier, so we both had coffee for that show.
Yeah.
Fun fact: my mom was going to name me Kahlua.
Really?
I really wish she would have. When she told the van that was an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
I think we called her Kahlua for the rest
for
of
a
the
little
trip.
bit. Yeah, Lulu.
I like it.
I
Yeah,
love
my
it.
dad put it into it. He said no, but yeah, that was
My
her
mom was
first-
going to name me Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Wild turkey.
All right, Mark, what you drinking?
I am going with a vodka and seltzer, which in the blue look, it looks like a brick wall.
Oh yeah, look at that. It's Mark. Put that up
I
again.
can't-
Mark. That's so weird.
I can't figure out how to turn the green screen off on this iPad.
Look at that. That is. You look like you're drinking a Pink Floyd album.
And then the other thing we always ask is if our guests have a joke for us. We love street jokes.
Me
Yeah.
too.
I
It's
mean,
hard to pin down just one.
Do you want to go first?
No,
want me
you
to
go ahead.
first.
Yeah.
This is one I wrote. So,
Oh fuck! Here we go. When she wrote.
so I really like beer. I like beer so much that I actually took a bath in it, but it's gross. I decided it was just once in a blue moon.
Look at
You didn't write
JP.
yours.
Yeah. I only
I
wrote
can
one
hear
joke in my
JP
life.
rolling his eyes.
Yeah. Well,
Oh yeah, do the one you wrote. I like the one you wrote.
it's terrible. No,
It's
I wrote it when
great.
I was like 9.
I know. Do it. Do it. Well, okay. Wait. I'll do it for him. The joke that JB wrote when he was 9. What did the policeman say to the guy when a piece of meat fell on his head?
Oh, I don't know.
You're under a roast.
That's
mean,
good.
for
A
a
9-year-old.
Yeah,
bad.
it's
Come
good.
on. That's.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think probably my favorite street joke. I've probably got 3, but my favorite might be, you know why they call it a cunt, don't you? Because that's the sound it makes when you kick it. Yes, he does.
Folks, that's Rick's jokes and storytelling.
Yeah, I'm afraid all my street jokes will get you guys canceled.
We can't get canceled. We don't have anything.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you a really good one.
And then I can tell one that, and it's even worse. But we do some of these when we're playing live, and we were playing to a fairly sparse crowd in Asheville. I remember North Carolina one time, and I just told this maybe in
We
the
play to
van.
sparse crowds all the time.
Yeah,
just
well,
to be
this
clear.
particular sparse crowd.
It's nice of you to say.
But so I get up to the microphone and I go, so I was eating my grandma out last night. And then I was like, oh God, that tastes like horse semen. Then I remembered that's how she died. And I sent about 10 people to the door. I was like, well, I got rid of those guys for us. So,
We haven't been asked back to North Carolina.
yeah, I don't think we played that
since.
club since. My bad.
We like to tell jokes in
Sometimes-
between our songs, you know. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So we were so fortunate. I was down in Nashville with Don Jameson, and we got to watch Raylen's first time doing stand-up. Don asked me, he goes, I have a friend and I think she wants to do stand-up. It's going to be her first time. And I was like, yes, this is going to be awesome. And I was kind of expecting, usually people's first times go well because they're so excited, but you did well, like you've been doing it a long time. And I wonder if it has to do with your being able to perform and singing, that I feel like you knew what you were doing and you felt comfortable on stage.
yeah, I was definitely very, very nervous though. More nervous than I get when I'm playing shows. But yeah, I think so. And like I said, we like to write jokes to say in between our songs to make the show fun. And I, like I said before, we pretty much only watch comedy podcasts and listen to comedy. So if you just try to mimic your favorite ones, you know what they do, right? Isn't that the trick? That's how you start playing music. You just mimic, you know, the people that you love until you get comfortable with it. But thanks for saying that I was shaking before I went on. Maybe I didn't take the microphone. I wish I would have taken the microphone off the stand. I just stood there and like held on to the stand for dear life. You know,
Sounds like a lot like your first gig with us.
yeah, it was. I stood very still.
It's funny how, and Mark, you'll attest to this, when you meet someone who gets into comedy and they've been in the entertainment business in other ways, like a singer or whatever, and they always think that that's going to be a shortcut to moving forward in the comedy business. They're like, and you're like, no, it still takes as long as it took, you know, because there are habits. Because I started out as an actor and a singer before I got into comedy. And there are habits that you have in that way that you have to break when you're a comic. And you know what I'm saying? Like as an actor, you think, oh, it's a script and I have to read the script that I wrote. No. Because someone could be yelling something from the audience and you have to deal with that. So there's always like something that happens from having other talents does help. But there's always something weird that goes on as a comic. Comedy is still its own beast. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I wonder if you talk about going from acting into that. Was there some pushback from comics? Like, oh, here comes a fucking actor trying to do comedy stuff. You know?
Yeah, to some degree, yes. And but not the other way, man. Actors are like, dude, you get up on stage by yourself with a microphone and that's it. And they're like, that's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyone who hasn't done comedy, but comics are always like, get off the stage, fucking actor. Get the hell out of the way. You know?
I can imagine. I can appreciate that too.
Yeah.
And then it's so cool that you guys get to travel around with just yourself and a microphone. That's all you need. You don't even have to bring the microphone. The places have a microphone. It's so nice.
There's positive, but there's negative because it's also insanely lonely.
Insanely lonely. Yeah.
I would imagine.
If you're not big enough to bring like your own opening act, you're by yourself, and it's like 23 hours a day by yourself, and then you have 1 hour where you're in front of like 500 people or 300 people, and then it's like, all right, back to being alone.
You walk in and it's a comic you can't stand.
And you're living with them.
And you're like, oh, God, I got to spend the whole weekend with Rick Adana. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess that's true because you guys will land and stay someplace for 3 or 4 days in a row. Our days are killed by driving to the next thing to do. So you know, it's just as boring, but at least you're seeing something different, not in the same comedy condo for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I directed a play that Richie was in, and it was called The Boom, and it was about a comedy condo. And it was these two older comics are working together and they're old friends, but like they're both kind of over it. And then this young guy comes in and he's supposed to be the opening act, but he kind of blows him off the stage. So halfway through the weekend, they have to switch him.
Oof.
And, you know, you have to tell the old lion that there's a new lion in town and he's got to step down, and it got ugly.
And that happens too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard stories of that happen.
Oh, yeah.
Talking to a lot of the old school comics we've talked to, talking about the comedy condos, and I'm sure it's probably different than it was, you know, in the 90s now, but you know, it was rock and roll back. Like talking to Stanhope about him coming up, it's like, yeah, you were basically just playing in a band, and he always takes his cast of merry pranksters out with him, it seems like, anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be able to do a weekend with him. I think I would come home so beat up.
Probably. He's a professional. I wouldn't want to jump.
I haven't seen him.
I'm trying to keep up.
I started out with Doug. I haven't seen him in years.
Hold on one second. I'll be right back.
Where you going?
I heard a kid screaming. Richie, what did you say? Did you say you worked with Doug?
We back in the 90s. I haven't seen him since, but I knew him back at open mic days and things like that. You know, together. So what the hell just happened?
My dog was scratching at the door. Somebody locked him out. Very professional here at the
Hold on just a second.
house.
I'm kidding.
You guys are doing. You can tell you have your own podcast. Because what you're doing now is you guys are interviewing us.
I was just realizing that as we were doing it. I was just, I got to save some of that for when you come on.
Yeah, we're trying to talk to you when you're going, okay, but when you're on the road.
We actually got to hang out at one of the comedy condos with Ari when he was in town. We did a fun video with him that should come out maybe sometime in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, whenever he gets around to it. Yeah.
Cool.
But we got to hang out in the
Zany's
comedy condo.
It's nice.
Not bad.
It's really nice, and it's right across the street. You know, so it's.
Oh, really?
That's always nice when you can stumble back to your. You know, no matter how drunk you get, you can always find a condo.
Exactly.
And
it's a nicer neighborhood now.
I was. Oh. Yeah. Yes, Nashville.
I've only been in Nashville once in my life, and it was to go to Robbinsville, Mississippi, to do a show. And I was there at 3:00 in the morning waiting for a bus. I was in a bus terminal, and it was one of the scariest times of my career.
I think I've ever been in the bus terminal.
It was gnarly downtown in the late 80s and 90s.
Yeah, it was the early mid 90s. Yeah, it was pretty.
Broadway, there was no tourism down there. There was titty bars and tootsies and pawn shops, which was great. We hung out down there, but it's completely changed.
Really?
Sure. Oh yeah, God, you would not recognize it at all.
No, yeah.
I guess it's just like New York Broadway. In the 80s.
Yeah,
it was nothing but live sex shows and scammers and
homeless
now
people.
It's Disney.
Yeah.
Well, now it's homeless people again.
It is again. Yeah.
Well, they got a fucking Apple store down on Broadway now, so it's just like everywhere else that you go with a big downtown street, where you're allowed to drink in the streets.
Yeah, the Taco Bell downtown has a stage and people play.
Really?
Yeah.
No shit.
I want to do a video there, a music video.
That's really cool. Yeah.
I know it is cool, right?
Wow. Where's your gig? Taco Bell. I don't know.
No, but trust me. Wait, listen, I'm telling you, it's great.
Wow.
That sounds like something a comic would do. We could do a show at this Taco Bell.
We just table right there.
We put the stage right over there. I think we could. I know the manager. I think he'd let us do it. He'd let us keep the door.
Hey, I did see a video last year of this young punk band that rented out a Waffle House and set up a band, and they were just thrashing in there. It was great.
Was it for a video?
No, it wasn't for a video. They did a show there.
We should do a Waffle House music video. Has that been done yet?
Probably a million times, but I don't know.
Okay.
I said go for it.
Yeah.
Do it, and then let somebody tell you, oh, yeah, somebody else did that. Just do it.
Which
then
one
you just call it an homage at that point. It's like, no, of course it's been done. It's an homage to all the other ones that have been done.
We like it. Okay, which would be better, Cracker Barrel, Waffle House, or the Taco Bell downtown with the stage?
How grungy of a song are you doing?
How stoned are you?
Yeah.
These are all valid questions.
Very valid questions.
Yeah.
The answer to the second question would be very. Most of the time you asked it.
If you're super drunk, Waffle House. If you're super high, Taco Bell.
Yeah.
If you're hungover but with classy people, Cracker Barrel.
Oh, wow. You nailed it. You nailed it.
You nailed it. Mark, you need to tweet that. You need to tweet it.
If you're with a nice classy group. Cracker Barrel's is the new Denny's.
Yeah, they just don't stay open late enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Denny's is late night. But I remember many a hungover days on the road going to Denny's.
Yeah, I haven't spent much time in Denny's. There was
that
one
time
in
in Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado.
Walk right across the hotel, and we lived there for a couple days.
Yeah, that was the only time. I've never been back.
You're not missing much.
Are you guys on tour now? Are you? I mean, I know you're home right now, but are you like going out a lot? Have things opened up since the pandemic and all that, or?
Next year we got a lot of stuff going on. We
stayed pretty busy though, honestly, during not like we were before, but we managed to get out every month or so during the pandemic because we live in the South. So Georgia would kind of open up and Florida would kind of open up. So we would hit all of those. But towards the end of the year, I mean, it sort of picked up towards the end, but yeah, it was, hit and miss throughout the whole year. Yeah. I think next year people are finally starting to count on getting out and things not getting canceled at the last minute.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing. You get all these like promoters when you're working somewhere. They're like, you got to really push. Ticket sales are low. Really push. And it's like, yeah, but you might cancel last minute. People are going to wait. They'd rather pay extra at the door than get a cancellation and they have to figure out how to get their money back. And it's a nightmare for the artists, but even worse, I think, for the promoters.
Yeah, probably so. On the plus side, it was much easier to have a sold out show during those half capacity things.
That's true.
We all knew what everyone was doing.
And everybody would put out, I had another sold out show, and we're all just laughing.
I played last night. I was in Elmira, New York, and I played the Mark Twain Theater, but because of the COVID restrictions, they moved us to the big theater. So we're in like a 5,000 seat theater, beautiful, but they could only sell like 150 tickets.
Oof.
So it was like this. Walking out, and it's like, well, at least we're in the big room.
Yeah.
It was a little weird. To shift gears though, I wanted to ask because we just talked to Shelby earlier today, and I wanted to ask him this, and I wanted to ask you guys this, but I didn't ask Shelby. What song do you hear, and that is the road for real for you? Like that's the song that represents the road and working. So many bands have great road songs. And
That's
Richie,
not
that's
on
for
the
you
road
too.
again?
Yeah. Well, if you're having a great time, it would be on the road again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's, 50% of the time you're out on the road, so that's not going to be. I don't know.
I
I'm
had-
trying to think of something funny.
Obviously, if it's good, it's on the road again. If it's bad, it's the turn the page, Bob Seger, right? Isn't that one?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I got to Raylan, and not to kiss your family's ass, but to me, it's Paul and Me.
Oh,
that is a good one.
Oh, me and
That
Paul.
song,
Me and Paul.
yeah, me and Paul. Whenever I hear that song, I go, "Oh God, yeah, this is pretty much it."
Yeah.
That's a great one. Yeah. I love that song. And I
By
love
the way,
Paul.
I also didn't on the podcast and when we met in person, I really had to bite my tongue not to talk about your grandpa the whole time.
Oh, well, let's talk about him. He's great.
I didn't want to be that guy, that was like
I get
asking
it.
you all these questions. So I just bit my tongue. I'm like, no, country's cool.
Well, I can tell you this from experience. The guy you don't want to be is the person that comes up and go, next time you see your grandpa, now he probably won't remember this, but in 1978, and they started in this long story about how he was kind to them, and you can just see her eye being kind, but her eyes are just rolling to the backs of her head.
It's just so many of those, so many.
Well, when Don told me you were going to be on the show, I immediately went and looked you up, and and I just saw it every time you posted anything, it would be like, I had chicken for lunch, and people would write underneath, "You got to tell your grandpa that," and I'm like, "Oh my God, that has to be the most annoying thing on the planet."
Yeah. You should see the messages I get on Facebook and DMs and things. It's just tell your grandpa I said hi, or I want to smoke weed with your grandpa, or
Well, we had a guy
who doesn't.
We had an older gentleman here at the when we were setting up for a podcast. I think it's from like Wisconsin or something.
Minnesota farmer.
So he jumped in and started telling old Willie stories and whatever. Then did he get your address? Or no, he left a note up front.
Yeah. He sent packages here for us with a long letter that he had written for my grandpa, and then a long letter he had written for me. Yeah, that was just.
And then basically
he was
asking
kind.
to get. Oh, he was great, but
he was sweet and kind. But
maybe we're going to see your grandpa. Maybe you could tell him, and I can get on the bus with him and smoke one with him when he comes through town.
No, the answer is no.
Yeah,
it's such a smaller list if the people who don't want to smoke weed with your grandpa would write you. It'd be like 4 people.
That's a good point. Hell, we even had drummers ask that. Fill-in drummers. They're like, "Hey, if you're
I'd really like to meet him," and I'm like,
Of course
you're
would.
not drumming with us anymore.
It's one of those things. It's like your grandpa and Snoop Dogg are probably the 2 most sought after. I want to hang out with them. Can I just hang out with?
Cool. And I was kind of the same way. That's kind of annoying starfuckery when I saw Snoop, because I just couldn't say anything but, well, first of all, he's so tall, so I was just like, you're so fucking cool, Snoop Dogg. Like, that's all I could say. I was just gushing, like, oh, you're so fucking cool. And then he would just kind of side hug me, and he'd go, oh, the grandbaby. That's what he calls me. He calls me the grandbaby. But how do you not gush over Snoop Dogg? And Snoop said that Papa Willie was the only one who could outsmoke him. How cool is that?
That's hysterical. Could you imagine them two? I couldn't even picture. They're the 2 funniest, coolest dudes. I would die like just laughing my ass off.
They did a song together called Superman. It's pretty good. My grandpa wrote a song called Superman, and Snoop sang on it with them, and it was.
I love it when Snoop sings. It's great.
It
kind of sounds country, but it sounds like him trying to be a country singer. It makes me laugh.
He's like, too many pain pills, too much pot, trying to be something that I'm not, Superman. Yeah, it's real mellow and cool. I'll try to find it and send it to you. So
oh my God, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
So now, what got you guys? I mean, obviously, now JB, you're from Nashville.
No,
not really. I've been here since 1977, but I was technically born in Virginia and lived there for about 6 months.
Virginia Beach.
Oh no shit.
It's a water birth.
Yeah. But yeah, I moved
Not
here.
a
when-
water birth.
It's his joke. I'm just I'm just telling your jokes.
I know. Well, yeah. But yeah, I've been here forever. So, watched Nashville change 5 different times.
Wow. No,
really old.
what got you two into like picking up a guitar? What got you into? I mean, Raylen, I have a feeling I know where your
Yeah.
story would come
Mine's
from.
boring because it
But
was just my grandpa. Yeah. When did you pick
I was
up a
probably
guitar?
Kiss. That's first when I was 8, 9 years old. I saw Kiss album covers and shit, and I was like, wow, I want. There's fire. They wear makeup. I got to do that.
You don't wear makeup.
yeah.
I started playing the drums, but after a while, I got into high school playing drums. Like I got to get out front. That's where you can pick up chicks and stuff like that. As
Yeah.
a teenager, I'm just back here bashing away. I got to get out front.
Yeah, guys with guitars are cute.
So I had to get out front to do that. But yeah, I've been playing music forever.
Wow. And then
Kiss
I mean,
Say
go
what?
ahead, Rich.
Kiss was my first concert.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What year?
82, around there, 81.
Okay.
They were at the Paramount, not a theater in New York. It was like right when the boom was over, the first boom was over, and the second boom hadn't hit yet of Kiss. So
Right.
kind of like smaller. It was cool venue to see them in,
Right on.
Yeah.
Raylan, do you have memories of like your grandfather singing you lullabies? Like, is that?
I have memories of us singing songs together, but I don't think there were. We were probably like 3 or 4. Yeah, I was, or
Oh.
we. I was 3 or 4. My mom said that Jingle Bells. Him and my dad taught me Jingle Bells. That was the first song I was singing, and On the Road Again.
Really?
Yeah.
God, what an asshole. He's going to teach you his own song to sing? Come on, man. Jesus, Willie, what are you doing here, man?
But you know what? This is cool. I found a baby calendar, which is so strange how I even have it. That's another story. But in it shows that my first Papa Willie concert, I was 2 months old. 2 months old, I was at my first Papa Willie show.
Wow.
First time she smoked
Yeah.
a joint with him.
Yeah.
2 months. He was blowing her shotguns in her tiny little face.
It was her first contact high.
Yeah. Long hits with grandpa.
man.
No, you guys have such different music. JB, you're more punk, and then Raylan, you're more like pop, right? Am
Oh,
I
I
getting
love
that
that.
right?
Yeah, country, pop, country.
Yeah. I mean, again, we like probably a little bit of all of the genres, but that's when I was, teenage years, I gravitated to started with heavy metal and leaned into the punk rock stuff. So
but
I'm
what
a-
you create, you're more of rock.
yeah, I like Cheap Trick kind of stuff. That
Yeah.
power
Oh.
pop. That's Cheap Trick's one of my favorite bands of all time. So that's what I'm shooting
Yeah.
for.
So when you guys come together to write music, how do you go about it? What comes first, the lyric or the song,
Usually,
or the melody, or whatever?
Usually it's the lyric, and I have some sort of melody with it, and then I run it by him, and he's like, "No," or he's like, "Oh yeah, I kind of like that," and then I'll just kind of dive more into it, then voice memo it to him, and then he'll change it all up and send it back. And then I'm like, no, that sucks. Let's keep it the way that
Yeah, I
I
don't
had
think
it.
we've ever actually maybe want to like sort of arranging, but we've never sat down for a writing session. Like, let's write
No.
a song. It
No,
starts
no,
with
no.
a voice memo and we'll swap those back and forth.
That
we-
happens if we're in the process of recording and he's like, wait, maybe this is better. And then we'll sit down and try to figure out how to make it better. But we never sit down to write a song. No.
I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just end up writing a song because you're talking about things and then I'm like, and you're like, oh, that would be a good song. What about this? And or when we're trying to figure out how an ending of a song is, we'll sit there and pound it
Once
out.
we're
But
sort of arranging and that kind of stuff. But as far as getting the bare bones, it's voice memos and then we'll hook up face to face to pound out the rest.
Wow.
yeah, I'm usually
just-
riding around in the car and something comes to me. We've talked about this a lot. It usually happens when you're doing something that's a routine, so that part of your brain is doing something so that the other stuff can come in, so it's like in the shower. When you're in the shower doing your normal routine, sometimes thoughts or ideas, or maybe you guys get joke ideas at those times, riding around back roads.
Completely different thoughts than that.
What's your What's your process
In
there,
the shower? What do you?
Rich? Fill us in here, buddy.
No, but
Come on, let's make it awkward.
everybody, you say that because I don't sit down to write comedy. It's just more. I'll be talking to somebody and say something and realize, oh shit, that's funny, and then I'll text it to myself. You know what I mean? And I'll work it out on stage. But and I know a lot of comics. I don't know what you do, Mark, but I know a lot of comics who do literally just sit and do the process of writing, and I just can't do it that way. It just
no. If I actually put time aside to sit and write, I'd work on something else. I would rather work on a script or something that would be more useful because I don't want to write jokes about like plastic bags. You know, it's like to me, sitting and writing it feels like homework. I don't know who the famous writer is, but he said, "I love to have written, but not to write."
Oh, amen.
Yeah.
And it's like that's even like a script. Like if I have to put pages down for somebody, and they're like, "I need 10 pages by this date," it's like it's homework. I got to sit down, and I'm going to find every excuse to not do it.
right.
So did you like me and put it off to the last minute and then just cram and get it out last minute?
Yeah, and then I start to think like, wow, if I actually spent the whole 10 days doing it, I might actually be good at it. But
it is interesting though that with writing all the way around, like you just mentioned, there's a lot of people that sit down every day to write songs and they just try for a half hour every day. Either something comes or they just exercise that muscle. And I've never been able to do that, but there's plenty of people do.
I mean, even when we have done things like that, like let's write a song about this, it doesn't work. We end up just being like, let's not do this. Let's just hang out and we'll, figure out something else another time. That's why we write the way we do, because it's just, I want to write about something real, like stuff that happens. I don't want to be like, we're going to write a song about a romantic love story today. Like, no.
But we're also writing songs for us to play. You know, there's a whole industry in town where people are writing songs for
that's
others.
True. That's
they
true.
don't give a shit about that. They're just trying to pound out a decent, catchy song and get it picked up.
Okay, here's an interesting thing. Weed and Whiskey, our song Weed and Whiskey.
love that song, by the way.
Thank you.
Actually, we did have to kind of sit down.
Okay, so here, that's
a good point.
This goes against everything because on this one, Weed and Whiskey TV reached out to us and said, would you write a song called Weed and Whiskey that we can use? We'll pay you this amount of money. And we're like, well, hell yeah, we'll do that, right? So I had already had a melody in my head that with that whiskey thing, I already had that in my head for like years. Remember, we were trying to use it years ago. I was like, let's try to figure that out. So then we just started with that and worked and just kind of wrote the song
which
together.
Ironically, we started with that melody line and I didn't remember the chords you were playing. And I was playing completely different chords. And I'm like, well, that works. And you're like, that's not what I was playing. I'm like, oh, let's go with it. But then it was almost a work for hire. And we kind of recorded it. And we
wrote it all in my garage in like 30 minutes.
Yeah. And once we recorded it, we're like, this is kind of good. We should like pay attention and make sure it sounds like us because we can use this song.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So in that sense, we can sit down and write a song when someone asks us to.
Yeah, if there's guaranteed money involved, boom, we can do it.
Yeah, that's when somebody has me like write a script or something. They have a story and they want it out on a script. It's like, I can force myself to sit down because I'm picturing that check.
Yeah.
But like, I have all these ideas, but I never write them because, well, that's just hard work.
And I think the more you write, the harsher your inner critic gets. That you're like, shit, you would like go, that's pretty good 5 years ago. You're like, I can't put that shit out. And sometimes you get a little too critical of stuff, probably sometimes.
Yeah. Everybody says, oh, the more you write, the easier it gets. Not really. You get way harder on yourself.
Yeah.
I listen to sets of mine from, let's pretend a pandemic didn't just happen. But like, I would listen to a set that's like 6 months old and I'd go, I can't believe I did the joke that way. I wouldn't do that way. And like, even though I still do the joke, I change it and it transforms and it, depending who I'm in front of, it changes. So I might have been in front of a bunch of old people and I did the joke very different than if I do it in front of a bunch of like 30-year-olds.
Right.
So it's like, I guess when comedy has it's a cool thing where you can change even though you have your thing. But with music, you guys kind of have the song written. You can't just go like, let's change it, because this audience looks like they like this more.
Right.
Yeah, unless we have to make song selections for that. There are people. Bob Dylan does that shit, but I think he judges the crowd and is like, they're here to hear this. I'm going to play it this way. He never plays his songs the same way. You guys are kind of like jam bands. You know where you're going to start and end, and then you read the crowd and figure out how long to stretch this or stretch that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, you're like the Grateful Dead of comedy's like the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, we have all those people following us around from town.
Yeah, minus the giant crowds and the multi-million dollars on all that kind of stuff.
I actually like to think of myself more as fish.
Oh, there you go. Spin doctors, we're down there.
Working together.
I'm sorry.
How long have you guys been working together?
What is it, like almost 10 years now?
Almost 10 years, yeah.
Almost 10 years, yeah.
But when we started, like I'd been playing in bands forever. She had never done anything.
I know, I just got through nursing babies. And we actually met through, we were both, or a friend of mine was getting weed for me at the same place he was getting weed. And she would just happen to be talking about how I had tried to go to a studio to record some pieces of songs that I've written and it didn't turn out well. And he was like, well, tell her I have a studio. I'll only charge her $50, So I go over there to do that. And then by the end of the day, he was just like, I'm so blown away by your writing and your sound.
Here we go.
We should write more songs together and put together a combo.
Kind of like that.
And so that's what happened. And then we started working. And then in the beginning, we didn't even know what we were doing. We didn't know we were doing this.
It was going to be traditional country at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And we did our first thing we ever recorded is Stone Cold Country. I was playing an actual washtub bass and really stripped down. Yeah.
And hearing your guys' stuff now and thinking that, it's like, wow,
it's
the evolution.
Yeah, there's a video called He's All Mine. That was the first thing we ever did. And then the second thing we did was the Moon Song, which we got her grandpa to sing on.
That doesn't sound like this now either.
No. So that was just she and I. We didn't have a band or anything. She'd play ukulele and I'd play the rest of the stuff. And then after we decided, well, let's write some stuff, write more songs and try to put together a thing. I was kind of like, look.
My grandpa was like, you need to get a band. Do you have a band? Do you have a band? And I was like, hey, he's saying we need a band. And JB's knows rock people, right? Like that's his friends. Yeah. So he got his friends that he's been playing in rock bands with. And that's kind of how it became a rock band with
and plus I realized I can't play traditional country with the shit. So if I want to be part of this, we got to do something a little bit different. But yeah, it definitely evolved. You can hear it from our first recording, it's basically it's almost like a rockabilly song slowed down to what we do now. It's night and day, but we didn't know what the fuck we were doing to begin with. Still don't really know, but
we'll figure it out. The first one that sounded like us now, I think, is Brother.
Yeah,
that we did.
Yeah.
No, how many albums do you guys have?
We have an EP. Our first EP we put out. Then we did it's called Singles Volume 1, where we just packaged together a whole bunch of singles.
Okay.
And then we did an album called Don't that came out right before the pandemic hit. So
I love the cover of it.
Yeah, we've been doing that. We've got
the Ramones.
Actually,
that's not the cover.
You won't be able to see it. But I have that album, London Calling, right up above the TV.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I'll have to get yours, and I'll put it up, and I'll get rid of the Ramones one or the Pink Floyd one, and have you next to it.
There you go. That's kind of been our thing. The first one we did, we did the Ramones' first album cover for our first EP. So we aped that, and then the second one we did, The Kids Are All Right from The Who, but instead of the Union Jack, we had a Tennessee state flag laying on us. And then we went for the London Calling for this last one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think you should have done, what is it, Who's Next, when they all pee on the wall?
Oh, yeah, all piss and have Raylen squatting instead of...
Wouldn't it be cool if Raylen's walking away from the wall
with piss up around penis level? Yeah.
Let's do it.
That's not a bad idea. We got to find a monolith to piss on.
Do it and let me know. I would love that.
I think I hadn't even thought about that, but yes, we've got to find a concrete monolith to piss on. and take a picture.
Is there a place people can buy the album on vinyl?
Not vinyl yet. No, it's really expensive to get vinyl.
It is.
Takes forever too.
Yeah, and they're backed up
Yeah.
because there are only just a few. Well, there might be more now, but when I was looking, there were just a few places in town that did it, and they were so backed up. It was just like,
Yeah.
what's the point?
You should connect with Don. He has a guy up here it's in Philly, and he got his album done in vinyl. And I met up with Don for lunch, and the guy showed up with like a truck filled with vinyl. It's like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
they take up a lot of space.
I think it's a good idea from here on out for us to do singles, and maybe put every time we do. So, like in 3 months, we put out 2 singles, and then put those on a 45 together, and do that. It's just to try to give each song a little more life.
Well, we had talked about that when we started.
Oh yeah, we did.
We were just gonna do singles.
We were doing that.
Yeah, because most people are streaming stuff anyway. And instead of putting out 12 or 13 songs at the same time and like for 2 months going, hey, check out our album. Hey, still check out our album. Hey, our album. You can stretch those songs out, and every couple of months put out a single, because that's where people are consuming stuff. And then when we get enough for a physical CD, we'll just package them up. And because we sell most of our CDs at shows, people want to buy them, get them autographed, things like that. And like,
unless you get a good press article written about you, and then all of a sudden you get an onslaught of people wanting your CDs.
That's true.
So that's cool. But that just comes out of the blue. That's not regular.
But most people buy CDs. Physical music is merch now. It seems like it's just like a poster or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know if I ever see live music, even though I don't have a CD player in my house, I have them in the car still. I still buy a CD just because I want to support the band, because I know. Yeah. I mean, as comics, we're on Spotify and all that crap, and I see the money that comes in, and there's no money coming in.
No money.
No money.
Sirius XM's the only people who pay anymore.
You're exactly right. That's where we make airplay is Sirius XM.
Yeah.
God bless Sirius XM.
Yeah. I mean, didn't the guy from Disney, one of the presidents of Disney, just leave Disney to go to Sirius?
I hadn't heard that, but I hope so.
Yeah, and I guess I mean, my hope is that they take over, because they're the only people paying people, and it just doesn't seem right that all these streaming places, they take advantage of the artists, and what good society without good art?
Yeah, the labels really screwed the pooch on the streaming thing anyway, for just giving up all the major labels could have just held tight and go, until you pay a decent royalty, we're not going to let you stream our stuff. But they sort of back into that. So a lot of like Spotify would cut off labels and give them like, well, we can't pay you more, but we'll give you stock in Spotify. So the executive like, all right, that works too. We'll still make money. So it's convoluted. It was a new thing in the music business as a just monolithic, slow moving, stupid beast that can't keep up with anything. Yeah.
And I think, and it's so like 10 people made money when Spotify came out.
Exactly.
But the thing I think that's really that's awful is, so everybody was so nervous about pirating music, and I think everybody panicked and nobody knew what to do. So everybody just agreed this shit. I mean, I'm not in the business, but from an outsider's standpoint, that's what it felt like.
Well, it's true. They were worried about people pirating music, so now they just give it away. It makes no sense. They shit on Lars from Metallica when he was going, "Hey guys, quit stealing our stuff." They're like big millionaire. Yeah. Turns out he was right.
They went after him and Jimmy Buffett. They were idiots for not giving away the catalog.
Yeah, exactly.
And the poor guys. I remember still in high school hearing about it, and everybody turned on Metallica, and I'm like, well, wouldn't you want paid for what you do for a living? Like,
really?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand it. I mean, comics give it away all the time anyway, under the promise of exposure.
Oh, there's plenty of exposure gigs in the music industry as well. Mm-hmm. What's the old line? Yeah, you can die of exposure.
That's great.
That's funny.
But I do. I feel sad, and then like on my wall, the albums I have up are all like they're albums that you have to listen cover to cover for the whole experience. And I'm sad to hear, but I understand why. But you're saying about doing singles because that's not the business anymore.
But also you could package them together and it could be just like that. If you strategically put them out, then you can package them together in the end as a full length. Like now I would just do singles volume 2, right?
Yeah.
And you could still listen to it front to back and could still have that same
effect,
same feeling. And you just got every single song except for maybe the last 2 early.
Yeah, but I really think it's us old guys that care about albums anymore anyway. It is a great experience, but there's a lot of great shit that we got to grow up with that nobody's going to get to grow up with. And at some point you just throw up your hands and go, well, I can't chew my leg out of the musical trap. So I'm just going to, this is what the business is now. Let's go try and sell some t-shirts.
That's, that scene in Boogie Nights when the guy's he's all cracked out. They're at his house. And it's Anthony Molina's character, and they're throwing the firecrackers and shit. Yeah. And he talks about making the mixtape, and he's like, I'm tired of the artist telling you which order you have to listen to your music.
I forgot about
I kind of like the artists to tell me how to listen to the music.
Well, yeah, you don't want to. If Pink Floyd didn't have the album, art form, it'd have been horrible. You got to listen to that top to bottom. There's certain people that you need that kind of stuff. But again, it's probably mostly older bands. Maybe it'll come back around, everything's cyclical. I feel,
and maybe it's because I'm a comedian, but I feel like if you took all my jokes, like how you do on a CD or whatever, and you put it on shuffle, it won't make sense. Yeah. I'm building to something. There's a reason to everything.
Well, that's your comedy though. But if you put like Stephen Wright on shuffle,
that's true.
It's just, that's the crazy thing about art. There's just so many different ways that you can do it.
Mark, your comedy doesn't make sense no matter what.
That's true. If you like ramblings of a long-winded madman, I'm your guy.
Can you play drums?
I started out as a drummer, but I sang.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're hired.
We need a drummer. What you doing January 13th?
How funny would it be? Where are you guys? Chicago? Is that where you're?
Nashville. Oh, where our show is? Our show. Wait, did you really think we were in Chicago?
I thought you posted something earlier today about Chicago. You're looking for it.
That's not necessarily Raylen posting.
Oh yeah, that's the agent posting about maybe future stuff. No, in January we're playing in Florida and we need a drummer.
Ooh.
January 14th, 15th.
Nice. Where are you guys at? Plug away.
We don't plug yet. We're not quite sure.
we don't have a drummer.
Check our website for
stay tuned.
Updates. You guys are like Spinal Tap. You don't have a drummer.
Exactly. The only problem is they survive. They just get better gigs.
Yeah. Nobody's died yet.
If you want to get a gig with a major touring artist, come drum with us, and we will hook you up. You'll be drumming for Ozzy before you know
it. We lost one to. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we've lost him to Steven Tyler, Steve Earle. Like,
oh no shit.
People got on to bigger and better. Good for them.
Gene
Simmons. Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah. Drummers. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know why they'd want to do that when they could make tens of dollars.
Yeah,
drumming with us instead.
They don't. If you don't spontaneously combust, you'll get a better gig.
Exactly.
Wasn't that that was my favorite one in Spinal Tap? One of them spontaneously combusted. So now, do you guys, when you're out on the road, you guys movie freaks?
No.
Watch a lot of movies.
But again, we don't have
any time.
When we're in a hotel room, we're literally in there for probably
an hour at the most.
But I mean, total sleep when we land and leave, maybe 9 or 10 hours. We show up, go to sound check, go to the hotel room, change, whatever, play, go back, sleep, get up and get thrown out at 10 o'clock in the morning and go. So it's not, we don't have the 3 days to sit around when you're just bored to tears and like, what's on TV? So honestly, most of our downtime is spent driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Listening to comedy.
There you go. Do you guys have anything you want to plug before we let you go? Because we're hitting the top of the hour. Don't want to keep you here all day.
Yeah, check out our podcast, Music is Funny, where it's musicians talking to comedians about music and comedy.
Yeah, you can go back and listen to old episodes. It's not really like current event based. So,
No.
you know, if you see a comedian listed that you like, go back and listen to it. We talked to him about road stories, music, comedy, all that. You know,
about how many episodes do you guys have?
I think number 40 just came out.
Yeah. I think you're
gonna be 41
tomorrow. You're coming out tomorrow. Not as
ladies and gentlemen, Mark comes out tomorrow. You want to tune in for that? Only on Music is Funny.
There's not a lot of people in New York are that surprised, but
it is fabulous.
Do you guys ever get out to LA and go to the Comedy Store, or are y'all just New York comedians?
I'll go wherever, but like LA, I've only gone there to work, but that was for acting stuff. And I never got into the comedy scene there.
Yeah, we've been Mark and I both have really been East Coast for most of our careers, right? Yeah. I mean, I've worked all over the country, but in the last few years, now that I'm older, I don't going on the road. It's kind of lost its appeal that way. So I'd rather go to Connecticut, do a show, and get home that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Richie, you also had so for you guys, Richie does warm up for TV.
Yeah, for 12 years.
For TV shows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you can make a really nice living and only commute by subway instead of, like working in New York City, you get no money. That's why you have to go on the road. And Richie had the loophole gig where it's like, I don't have to leave the city and I can make, a decent living.
Yeah.
What does the TV warm-up guy do?
Well, you go out beforehand and you get them riled up and ready to go and explain the rules and how to act. And then during the breaks, a lot of times, because we're live to tape, a lot of times it takes 15, 20 minutes in between to set up for the next segment. So it's my job to keep the crowd entertained during the breaks, So it can, an hour-long show, it's 43 minutes to shoot. And usually it takes 2 hours to shoot. So the rest of the time is just me out there trying to keep them happy,
Yeah.
Richie is part comedian, part hype man.
Yes.
There you go. He's like the Flava Flav for the TV show.
And I guess Richie's like the best at it. I absolutely, I would go and watch him do warm up because like he was doing it for Dr. Oz and like he would start messing with Oz in between takes.
Yeah.
So like Oz would be talking to this person about like what's coming up and they would be whatever. And Richie's entertaining the crowd. And then all of a sudden they'll just turn and be like, just look at him. Look at that guy. That's a wig. Nobody has hair like that. And everybody, I'd be in the crowd and they would know I was Richie's friend. And they're all like, your friend's going to get fired today. Like your friend's good. There's no way he's not going to fire him. Meanwhile, Oz loved it.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. Valerie Bertinelli was on the show and she was talking about her ex-husband, Ed. And she kept saying, Ed, this. And so when we go to commercial, I go, Ed. I just go, Ed. And she goes, are you talking about me? And I go, his name's not Ed. It's Eddie. And she goes, my ex-husband, I can call him whatever I want. I go, he's Eddie Van Halen. I go, you think Priscilla Presley walked around calling her ex-husband L? And about 6 months later, she was on the show again, and I saw her in the hall, and she goes, listen to me. I talked to my ex-husband, and he said to tell you that, and I go, you talked to Eddie Van Halen about me? I was all so thrown away by that. And it kind of pissed her off because she was like trying to tell me. He said it's okay to call him Ed. And I go, did you mention me? You talked to him about me?
We're done here. Perfect. Yeah.
Did you tell him my name?
Yeah. Did he ask? Has he asked about me lately?
And did you call me Rich or Richie? Because I only will go by Rich. Well, guys, we hit the top of the hour. I think that's a perfect way to go out.
This is great.
Please, would you guys come back and hang again?
Absolutely.
Anytime.
I would
Yes.
love to do your show. So let Mark know if you want us both to come on together, whatever you want.
Now we'll get you. We've already had him on. We're old hat with him.
Yeah.
We'll get you on by yourself.
And then when you guys are in
ran out
town,
of
y'all
story.
can come together and we'll do one.
Yes.
In person.
All right. Cool.
Actually, well, what's awesome is Richie and Don and I, the three of us, are really good friends. So maybe the three of us will come down to
Yes.
Nashville, do a show.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
We'll do a
We should
round
do it
table.
and have you guys close it.
Okay.
We'll do a comedy show the first 45, and then you guys close with 45.
That's a cool idea.
We could do that.
Or
Yeah.
maybe Raylen can close with her 5 minutes. Anyway, thanks for having us.
Oh, and by the way, Richie, I wanted to throw this out there to you. They had Lisa Lampanelli on
Oh, you did?
their podcast. She didn't insult them once.
Oh, really? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I listened to y'all's with hers, and she's so mean to y'all. It's so funny. Remember, she was
Yeah, you
like,
told me about that. I have got to listen to that. You guys broke her down, man. She was nice, Lisa, on ours, but you guys brought her old school. That's great.
y'all could barely say anything. She just kept going and going and going. Y'all were just laughing the whole time. It was so good.
She's the best.
Yeah, so she used to open me. So
Wow.
okay. And she
That's how long they've known each other. Jeez.
Wow.
But yeah, we'd love to have you back on, and we'll definitely all stay in touch. I'll send an email to all of us so we can stay in touch.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect.
You guys have been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man. This was great.
Thanks.
All right, that was Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling.
Cheers.
You did it.
You guys,
All right.
thank you so
You guys.
Oh.